Oh, all right. This is a special meeting of the Orono Town Council Finance Committee. Purpose is to get a presentation from our bond advisor. We have myself, Jacob, Clint, Sarah, Zach. Leo is joining online, and then also online we have Lori Carpenter as well. And as soon as the bond advisor gets here, we will get started.
All right, well, just, yeah. It's getting my message.
We need to get our new poster hung up on the wall behind you there.
Yeah, it's funny, you were just talking about it, they just ordered a frame.
Nice.
Joe, it's Clint. I just sent the Zoom link again. Oh, you're on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I think you better check. I think it's a different link. I think it got changed. So can you check? Check your new email. Check your new, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you're supposed to use the Zoom one. Yeah, it gets confusing with the way our meetings are set up. We're changing that the next year. All right.
Okay, here's all the stuff.
You don't see the Zoom link? If you click Finance Committee, it should take you right in. And the newest email I just sent you, there's a list. These are the remote access links. One says Finance Committee, Town Council, Executive Session. If you click Finance Committee, you'll get right in. Thank you. Talk to you.
Leo, did you see
There.
all the emails that came this morning? All the attachments in the email?
He did.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yes.
So, all right, well, so welcome. Joe is now on, and I will give him permission to talk. And you there?
In fairness, you sent me the wrong link in the first place.
I figured that's what had happened. Something had to get changed here late, and
That's okay.
so I'm gonna promote you to a panelist. So
Is my camera on?
it is not.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Oops. I promoted the wrong one, didn't I?
Join us here.
There he is. Oh. Tell me I didn't do it.
No, you did it. So you gotta go out and then back in.
Yep, there he is.
I knew Jacob was sad to not see my smiling face, so.
Wow. That is a big face.
So Joe, there we go. Talk, Joe, and we'll see you.
Finally. This new technology is killing me.
It's tough with all the ways we have open meeting rules to keep them balanced, so.
So, do you want to be the host, Clint?
Yeah, I can bring up some of the documents if you want as well, so do maybe some quick introductions, maybe just a quick around the room. We've got
Sure.
Leo as well.
And thank you for selecting me. I'm with Morrison Cabin in Boston. I've been doing banking since 1986. Prior to that, I was a bond trader, which young men do and older guys don't. I went to the University of Maine in Orono. I went to Orono High School. And so I kind of know the area pretty well. Lived in Charles Street and then Dryden Terrace. And I've done a variety of issues for the town. And watched it grow from the old town hall where they played basketball and we got our polio vaccines to the current one. One of the things that I saw in the award, and thank you very much again, was there's a high level of sensitivity in terms of what's consultant, what's a bond advisor, what do you do here and there. And everything that I've done heretofore, I'll talk about maybe 10 hours, is not charged because it's part of a bond issue. It's not part of the consultancy. So right now, I'm just ready for questions and free of charge. So, that's where we are. Clint has asked me to, look at your debt. And what we're trying to do, and we bifurcated, the issues into a this year and then maybe next year, the year after issue. That it turns out 2 of the 3 projects this year and 2 of the 3 projects in 2 years are all, by sewer user fees. And I've asked, Clint to ask Zach to identify on the 4 prior series of bonds outstanding, what was for tax back purposes, and what was for, enterprise funds. And so what I intend to do is provide you with a breakdown of all tax back debt with your current debt and future. And then, a second, couple of tranches would be your sewer user fee debt, because you might be, interested in seeing the impact of user fees also. And then finally, I'll consolidate them and we'll have, your consolidated debt. So we can look at it 6 different ways if we wish.
So-
One of the things we want to talk about at the meeting is what projects do you want to do and what do you not want to do, and. I just did a bond financing for RSU 26 on Tuesday. They borrowed money for 30 years, pardon me, 20 years at a 3.85%. And so that, indication of the current market. And they were rated, A+ by S&P because their rating is 1 notch lower than the AA- the town enjoys for S&P. They were rated AA3 by Moody's, and the town of Orono is also rated AA3. So our goal here too is to maintain or actually increase your ratings, which will lower your borrowing costs. That's my introduction.
Perfect. You guys wanna go, I mean, do you know what, I mean, we'll introduce as we go, Zach's here. You can see him, he's the end of the table. I know it's a tough view with us with that long camera, but I'm gonna share the screen right now to some of the presentation materials. Particularly the ones I think we should kind of hone in on, or where we could hone in. I've had a few chances to discuss.
Joe, can I just quickly ask, you mentioned you met with the RSU. You said they borrowed 20-year term, 3.85%, right? Not that they're borrowing, but they have borrowed. That was the last borrowing.
Yeah, so in 2019, the voters approved a $16 million deal. At the time, we issued as many bonds as we could, but staying below a budgetary target of 1.7 million a year. So we borrowed $12 million then. And then by, using some strategy, to comply with the IRS code and the school rules, which were very severe. We did a, bond anticipation note in 2020 for 4 million odd. Then we refunded it with a 2-year bond, because the school rules would allow that. And then refinance that 2-year bond with a permanent bond issue, so that the schools done bonds for a while.
They're done with bonds for a while,
Well, unless you,
unless they
have
vote.
an inroad of 1,000 more students.
Yeah, no, but there's still however many years there's still 17, 16 years on that, correct? On what they borrowed.
They will be, the 20-year issue that we did in 2019, the final maturity will be 2044, so that's 18 years from now. And then I mirrored that structure, with 2025 bonds, so it'll all be, one big package. The idea that the bonds are callable in 10 years, with no penalty, so I would look back and 10 years from 2019, 2029, I'll look at it. And it's entirely possible a 20-year bond then, or when it was issued, is now a 10-year bond. Therefore, the yield curve may be forgiving and have lower rates, and we would do a refunding if we can save money. If we can't save money, we won't.
Gotcha. Thanks.
So, Joe or Clint or somebody, I would like to start off by, talking about what we currently have for debt, because Joe, I mean, I kind of have a general working knowledge of bonding, but. I mean, you're using terms like tax back debt, sewer use fees debt, and while I think I know what those means, I think. I would prefer just to start right from the beginning, what do we have? What's its repayment source, and then. Yeah, I guess nothing is too simple for me.
So, and I appreciate that. We got 1 hour, we got a lot of ground to cover, so we do have some of this prepared. If there's deeper dives needed, we've got to figure out how to get this to the council. Because we are running out of time.
Yeah,
This is so.
but it can't go to council unless we.
Nope.
actually-
What, correct, well, I want this committee to understand it before it gets to the council, it's a good goal. This is an email that Joe just sent, so this is a 10-year look back, 2015 through 2024.
Do we have that email? Because it's fuzzy.
I've got a print off here and it's still fuzzy.
Could you just forward the email?
I will eventually, but it's fuzzy it's a fuzzy,
Oh,
it's
okay,
a fuzzy document, okay?
all right, so we'll do
So-
our best to read it.
Yeah.
There we go.
There's a little bit of, so when you're looking at this, I just wanted, Joe shared it, I think it was a good idea. 2015, if you look at the very bottom down here. Whoops, the total town value was 419 million. We had 22 million of debt, 22,658,000 of town only debt. The RSU had 3.9 for a total indebtedness of 26,600,000. And again, you know, then he did some ratios, but our debt percentage as a portion of our valuation was sitting at 6.35%. So then, and then our debt as a percentage of our equalized valuation in Orono only was 5.41. So that's the town only debt. Consolidated's town and school, Orono is just the town. So he brings us forward to today. The town's reduced its debt to just under 16 million, 15.9. The school's sitting at just over 14. Again, this would have been before the reissuance you just did, right, Joe? This is as of 2024, not what you just did. I don't know if you heard, Joe,
Yes, sir.
the 2024 number, that's before what you just did. That's ending, so you won't, the new work will not be in there till next year, but the school's showing 14.
Let me figure up here closer, I'm so.
It's hard to see, I know. Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry, Clint.
I just, no, so the school debt you have here is the 24, in 2024 being 14.4 million. Is that changing with the work you just did for with the more work? Will that be a different
It
number?
will, you'll add $4 million of bonds to that because we don't include bond anticipation notes in the analysis.
So that's what they did is, and again, in my terms, they rolled a bond anticipation note into the full indebtedness. So that will be coming up. But then when you go to the far yellow, you know, the town as itself has gone from 5.4% of its equalized value in debt down to 2.1. Which is good. And then when I go back, and I'll refer you to, and I've shared this with some, but the capital improvement plan
Yes, yeah,
has an awful lot of good information for you
yeah.
on what our debt is and where it's from. And I can bring that up if we want to take just a moment.
Sure.
So I gotta stop share and reshare.
I guess just one point to that. I see the ratios down, but obviously the value's up, valuation's up by almost double. So we're still at 30, we're at 30 grand. We're at 2 grand, 2 million, 30 million, sorry, 2 million.
On
more.
cash value, if you go cash basis, you're 6.4 million less in debt
On the town.
in on the town side.
Right, so it's kind of evened out the town versus, but we are 30 million in debt as a town overall.
Yes, 30 million overall, but towns down 7, schools up 9 or 10.
And I am definitely looking at this as taxpayer, so.
Oh, yeah. Which you should. Oh, where'd it go? There's somebody in. There we go.
I mean, the most important thing about looking at the current debt, right, is to look at anything that's due to expire soon.
And so
There's not a lot.
if you're.
There isn't much.
Go quickly through the next sheet because that's what I wanted you guys to talk about. We don't have much expiring quickly.
Right.
You've had some recently, in fact, year before last, the year before I started, you had some expire. And then you did a little bit with capital, but for the most part, you took advantage of that as a savings.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
call it the Cornell year. For lack of a better term, your interim year.
Right.
So this is a copy, it's right out of your capital improvement plan. This is the breakdown. If you really want to get into it and dive in on what it was and what it was for, and a good explanation is on the far right. Zach went through and explained every one of them. So like on the very first, we have a Series A from 2020, says fiber optics. If you scroll all the way to the right-hand side, it explains that there was 2.25 million total borrowed. There was a fiber optic project of 205,000. This was funded from a different source, and these were reallocated as other infrastructure projects later on. So every one of those, line by line by line, you can see every single thing, what was intended, what was actually done, and how it was used. So I kind of tried to jump into this really quickly from a highlight standpoint. You've got a little bit of money. There was originally $500,000 borrowed for the library. We're still paying a little bit towards that. I think it's 50,000 a year. You
Hey.
have some money for the public works building. You
Hey,
have
can you, on that, with regards to the library construction, can you, something that didn't make sense to me when I went across that line? Because it said it's got 838. I can't quite read the number there, but that number
Oh.
doesn't make any sense to me because it's 100,000, 13,000, 100,000 left. And I
Oh,
don't,
yeah, I see what you're saying. So the principal remaining is 100,000, interest remaining is 13,000.
yeah,
Annual payment is 938,000.
what?
Okay, so that's a formula currently,
What's that?
Clint, go to that prior slide that had the bar chart on it.
You guys are gonna kill me with
We're
this.
overpaying them by 800.
It's not designed for that.
Leo, that's a formula error on Zach's part. He just said that.
Yeah, the
Oh.
938.
Okay, all right,
I
gotcha.
think it's actually showing total project cost originally, but that is expiring in 2029. And that will save the town roughly $100,000 a year in debt service payments.
So,
So
I mean, that looks like it's expiring this year if it's 113 and that's the total left.
Hey, Clint, go to the prior shared screen with the bar chart on it.
That's where I was about to move them to, because I think this is where I thought we'd end up spending. the
Yeah,
majority of our
so
time.
in the interest of time, yes, we have this debt. What are you proposing we do?
Okay, now is that page, is that the only page of that, or is there are other pages there? One of
There
two,
are more pages.
yeah. That information that, we had has the each year. So for example, the library's last payment is gonna be in November of 2028. And it's paying just under $30,000 a year for the next, for 2026, 7, and 8.
Oh, okay, gotcha that.
And
So what I'm trying-
again,
yeah.
that schedules in this package here.
So when you look at this, the capital improvement plan lays out all our historical debt, breaks it down everywhere it's been. Joe's done a wonderful job to bring this forward to us in one spreadsheet, in the sense that you can look at the big picture. And this is where, right here, I think it's yeah, that's total.
Can you tell
This,
us what page you're going to on the, if I'm scrolling on my own?
right here is the first page of that attachment.
So,
And he did the tax backed only. So right now, 2025 coming in,
oh,
starts right at line 24, then it goes down to the line 25. Those are our current annual payments based upon all the debt. So when you go back to the other sheet, you can get the breakdown, but these are the totals. So in fiscal year, as of November 1, 25, for fiscal year 26, we have a debt service payment of $1,067,368.
But that
Yeah.
is just tax back, doesn't include the sewer district.
No sewer.
Okay.
well, but that also shows it's less than 1 million too in that chart. So that was a little confusing also.
You're looking at the line above.
I'm looking at the yellow.
Now, if I could offer, I'll bet the University of Maine doesn't pay, they might have pilot payment in lieu of taxes that they would give to the town. They may or may not,
They
but
do.
I believe they would be a sewer user, wouldn't they?
Who would be?
the University of Maine.
Yeah, University of Maine's a sewer user.
And so that while they wouldn't be part of your tax back column, the University of Maine probably is a pretty big sewer user. And they would be impacted more than taxpayers for your sewer bonds. And that's just a hypothetical. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I bet I'm darn close to correct.
Yeah, but why does that show that it's somewhere in the 850, 900 range when we actually this year 26 in 26 we're actually paying over $1 million, right, in tax back, and it's $1.8 million counting WPCF.
Leo, the yellow is only showing the prior tax fact. It doesn't include, as far as I can see, the 2025 numbers.
Yeah, this is a what if you issued the bonds. Yellow plus the white columns equal the blue column. So that the blue column is only hypothetical were the bond issues. What we're trying to show is the gross effect of the bond issues. And what I haven't done is taken out the enterprise versus tax back of the 2005 and 8, which we'll do. But yeah, pardon me.
So under this scenario, just to make sure I understand this, just the tax back debt, our current annual debt service is 867. Under whatever assumptions or proposals that we're making to bond out or to take on additional debt, our payments will balloon to around 1.6, somewhere around 2030, and then slowly reduce.
And this is
Do I
not-
understand this chart?
And no sewer.
It's not
Yeah.
inclusive.
It doesn't count sewer.
Can I back us up a minute? So I know at some points in the capital improvement plan, there was a suggested list of projects to bond. Can I ask, which projects is this bonding?
Okay, this is what I wanted to get to. You guys are asking questions faster than I can get through the
Okay,
presentation.
I can wait.
So that's what we're right, no, it's perfect timing. So right now, when you did the bond, when we did the capital improvement plan, we had 3 projects the town wanted to entertain, not counting sewer. That, and again, not counting future years, nothing to do with Route 2 regarding the $3 million, that's a TIF project. This is truly just bonding. There was 3 things. One was doing, let me get the right list here. One was doing a ladder truck. Complete estimate, $2 million, but that was a guess. Right now, they're going at their, the community in New England just paid 2.5 million for a ladder truck, comparable to what we were looking at. 6 years ago, that same ladder truck was 1.6 million. So we're seeing a very rapid growth in the cost of ladder trucks. So again, we will put it in at 2 million. 2.6 is what we need for the library. And then we estimated as much as 2.5 million for some sort of project to do public safety and buildings. Deferred maintenance on public safety and buildings. So in this list, it is just the ladder truck and just the library. And that's one of the ones I wanted to talk about, is that if we wanted to still do deferred maintenance, town office, public safety building, and completing the new police station, which is a number we don't have yet, and add additional anticipated costs, another $1.5 million, those would have to be added in, and this number is getting higher. And so that's why I wanted to make sure, I wanted to bring this forward for the frame of reference, is that we were sitting at a growth of easily $600,000 in debt service on tax backed costs for the worst case scenario year, which is in 2030-ish. But again, is in the immediate terms, going up by a couple $100,000 next year, going up by 300,000 the year after that, $500,000 in the next 2 years. That's significant. And I guess what I wanted to come to here is I'm not suggesting we don't do them. In fact, I think you're kind of in the opposite. Got a 21-year-old ladder truck, and we've got a $2.6 million commitment to match federal funding for a grant on your library.
Just for a second, you're telling me that of those 3 projects in the capital improvement plan, the numbers we're seeing here are only showing me 2 of them.
Correct.
I mean, the ladder truck and the library, but not any deferred maintenance on the public safety, existing buildings, or
The new one.
the new one.
Yep, or the town office.
Okay.
So,
There was talk at some point about how the ladder truck was going to be funded, whether there were other solutions on ladder truck. Are we? I don't know what, right, I don't remember
I'm not
council being fully resolved on ladder truck. I remember it being there and being sort of said, we're gonna talk more about the ladder truck. Are we
Yeah.
gonna do that? Like,
if you wanna talk more on a ladder truck, we can. That means it's not going in as part of this bond issuance.
so what is the deadline? I know you said coming up against the deadline. Could someone explain to us what the deadline is and why it
There's
exists?
no deadline on bonding. He will write our bonds at any time we want. Joe, you can elaborate more. The deadline I have is we need to secure our matching funds for the library.
So the
So
library.
one
has-
of my questions I had for Joe today in front of the group, which we talked about, which I wanted Joe to answer, is what's the cost, Joe, if we don't do them all at once? So hypothetically, this council says, you know what? We're only gonna do the library right now. And Clint, you come back and go through this process all over again if you wanna borrow money for a ladder truck in a year, 14 months, whatever that may be. Or you come back if you wanna borrow money and we need more money to finish the improvements to the buildings. I want them to hear your recommendations on reducing the amount we're borrowing, even though we know these are coming up in the next few years.
We don't exactly know, but
Well, I mean, again, this is where I have to push back. You know you own a 21-year-old ladder truck. You
yeah,
know the problems from the day you bought it, and you also know it's close to its life expectancies. It may have some value, but it's been in your capital plans prior to me being your manager, that 2026 was the year you were gonna buy a new ladder truck. We have pushed it out to 2028, so we could keep having discussions. At some point, the discussions have to meet a decision.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point where we're issuing $2.6 million of bonds for the town for the library project. You need to talk about, should we do them at the same time?
Can we hear
Yeah.
the answer to this question that Clint just asked from Joe about what's the cost of not bonding altogether, of bonding in different stages? Can Joe answer that? Leo, is that okay?
Well,
sure.
what you want to do is you want to borrow as frequently as you need to, but as infrequently as you can. Each issue has a cost of issuance. It has Moody's and Standard and Poor's ratings, bond counsel fee for each issue, paying agency. My fee is per thousand par value, so it's totally moot. But it'll cost you about $40,000 of cost of issuance every time you come to market. At the same time, if people are gonna buy your bonds and we have to disclose in part of our offering documents that there's authorized bond issue debt of X amount and when you expect to borrow, they're gonna be kind of reluctant to buy bonds at dear prices today if 6 months from now they can buy more Orono bonds. And so you're sort of working against yourself. Now, the good news is, if you borrowed separately, you're gonna have the higher rate for one and the lower rate for the other, so it's a perfect hedge. On the other hand, what we try to do is approach the market like we did with RSU 26, when it looks like there's a high level of demand and not a lot of supply, and so we can sort of look through the market. But it would be to revisit it for each project is pretty rare. Typically, Auburn does their CIP borrowing in the spring, and then they did the Edward Little High School as a separate issue in the fall, but that's more of the exception than the rule. Typically, you put all your projects together and come to market once a year. Now, and so in terms of interest
Wow.
rate, you're gonna have a higher rate or a lower rate. I just can't tell you which.
Are we recording this?
Yes.
Okay, because I want to be able to listen to some things again. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Well, let me double check. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I ask about that, Joe? Just specific to that, Joe, you said a 40,000 issuance. Is that including your cost in that, or is that just the outside of, we're gonna pay the per thousand, per whatever?
$2 per thousand. So if you did a $4 million, $2 per thousand. So if you did a $4 million bond issue, my fee would be $8,000.
So, and is that included in when you said it would be 40?
And let's say you did 10 million, it would be $10,000. But if you did two $5 million issues, it would be 5,000 times two. $2 per thousand, I'm sorry, 20,000, it'd be 10,000 times two, or plus two. But it stays. There's a certain volume discounts, and in my response to the RFP, you'll see on one of the very last pages. That after every 10 million or so bonds, my fee gets reduced. Accordingly to give sort of a volume discount.
So sorry, I maybe wasn't asking clearly, but I just meant when you said it would be $40,000 issuance fees that, and I just was trying to understand if that would include your fees in that, or if that's like your fee is your fee, 2,000 per hundred per thousand, $2 per thousand. And then you said if we did it twice, would it be your fee, 40,000, or does that 40,000 include your fee?
Well, RSU 26 just did a $4.3 million bond issue. The cost of issuance was $55,000 minus $600 in rounding. And that and that information is a matter of public record.
Yeah.
So I mean, I picked the 40,000 for 4 million, 55,000 is about right. In that range, and of that fee, hold them in 3, 6. My fee was $8,600 of the 55, and the rest were other fees and expenses.
Okay, thank you. That answers it. Thank you.
This is probably a question maybe for Clint, but so this is, I understand that there's a cost to not bonding altogether. I would certainly prefer to bond altogether. It seems simpler to me, but you're also telling us there's a deadline. So what is the library deadline?
So moving, but I would like to have the money in place by spring of 2026.
And how long is the
Can you
process?
talk more about moving?
More about moving what?
Did you say the deadline is moving?
It was, yes, it started as a March timeframe and now it's closer to May.
Okay. And what
And
is,
and to do a bond issue from soup to nuts, the minute that Clint says, okay, let's go to market, until the day you get your money is about 6 weeks.
So
our
how,
deadline is May at the latest of 26.
Yep.
And the timeline to put it in place is 6 weeks, and council needs to have everything figured out and fully decided, it sounds like to me, by 1st of March. Does that feel safe? Or not?
I guess I just don't know how we're gonna build a budget and a capital plan if you're gonna be debating bonds.
So that's what I'm
During that
asking.
season, so
What's
my
your- yeah.
feeling on workload is we should be looking towards getting this wrapped up and done by mid-December.
Okay.
That was what I was thinking with
Yeah.
the timeline we were on. The other one, and again, it gets you into the ladder truck. If we do pursue a ladder truck, we might not be correctly funded even at 2 million. And then you have the options some of these vendors have is they build stock trucks that we can buy, but they're no notice availability. If they know we're buying and we have the money, we tell them. Then a truck comes available, they'll call and tell us, you can save 20% on some of those trucks in those situations, as much as, I wouldn't say guaranteed, as much as. So I'm kind of looking at this is that if it's a $2.5 million truck and we get it for 2, we become on budget because we have the money secured. Otherwise, we're gonna have to do bond anticipation notes and then refinance, and those get, I can do those, it's just more staff work. And then you do have to work with Joe for the refinancing. You still need permission for a bond anticipation note because it's a borrower. Which means I need you guys to vote, you need to have a public hearing.
And let's say you did a bond anticipation note for a year, and then we we repaid it with the proceeds of a bond issue. You're not borrowing for 20 years, you're borrowing for 21 years. Even though the band should be at a lower rate, because the yield curve is shorter, but it's still an extra expense. And then also, we would probably want to issue the band for you, and I'm just trying to think of my fee of 50 cents per thousand for a band, but it's waived if I do the bond issue, so that's gonna be 0. You're gonna bond counsel and a pardon me, an S&P rating and a paying agent. So whatever bond counsel fee plus another maybe $5,000 or $6,000 if you did a band, plus it's another year's of interest.
so going back to the timing thing,
And if you need all these hypothetical option 1, 2, 3, or 4, I'll just craft the whole thing as if it exists and you can look at them at your pleasure.
If you want that, and that's why I'm here.
Where is
because
option 1, 2, 3, and 4?
I've got, sorry, I've been trying to ask a question for a while. Okay, so how does, you talked about timing and incurring additional fees, which I get and I understand, but then you also talked about interest costs, because right now bond rates are higher than they have historically been, so perceivably, if we wait, 3 years to borrow, the rates, again, without a crystal ball, could be lower. So if we decide to do all 3 projects or 2 projects right now, to say we want to go ahead, we want to go out to the market and get these bonds, how will they be priced, knowing that we won't actually need one tranche of money until next spring, the second tranche of money until we line up a ladder truck? So how does that work?
And you have to, if you issue money for equipment, then you must expend it within 18 months.
Okay.
Subject to arbitrage, earnings, and rebate.
Yep.
If you do a project, a construction project, you have 24 months to spend the money. The IRS's posture is, if you're gonna issue it, they want you to use it. And again, I would do that analysis for bond counsel to show how you meet the various tests. That's something that we can do. Interest rates, though, Clint, it's interesting because interest rates are gonna go up and they're gonna go down. I just can't tell you when. I had I worked with Cape Elizabeth, where their school ultimately passed, for a long time, as well as other schools. And they were all saying, what's the interest rate gonna be? So I did a 40-year average of interest rates. And on a 40-year basis, this is about 4.25% for 20 years. On a last 20-year basis, it was like a 4.10. I certainly don't want to take issue with you, Clint. You're a dear friend, and I've known you for a long time, but rates are not high. Rates were unreasonably low.
Jacob.
That was me.
That was Jacob.
Yeah,
That's okay. That wasn't me.
Okay.
That's okay, Joe. It's hard to see who says what.
I should have said sir then, I'm sorry. But the rates are unreasonably low. If I were to look at an average, like for example, for RSU 25, I was looking at 4% to 4.25 range, came into 3.85. But right now I'm using 4.25 to 4.5 just because it's a conservative. Somehow, if you come in under budget, people think you're a hero. If you go over budget, you're a bum. I'm 5'6", and so I try to be as uncontroversial as possible. But you should think that rates, they're gonna go up, they go down. We pick and choose. For example, there's something called the January reinvestment, that I schedule bond issues in January because there's never more money available because of maturing bonds mature in January and July. And people have their bonuses from Christmas and all that. And so there's typically 10 billion more dollars available in January, the month of January, than any other month of the year. And I have a paper on it. It's called the January reinvestment. And so you pick and choose. I did a Bar Harbor issue in August. Why? Because August is great in Bar Harbor and didn't have any snow.
So I want to jump in, Joe, because I think the global questions is what I want to move it away from this conversation for a second.
Yeah.
I've been here a year. You have a list of projects in prior capital plans that we brought forward this year between sewer and the town. The town was really focused on 4 large projects. One of those 4 was $3 million towards a $30 million road project. That is now completely off and is tipped. So we're really just down to the 3.
Yeah.
Sewer, or sorry, not sewer, library, ladder truck, deferred public safety, and town hall maintenance. Those ones all added up to, they were 2.6 for the library, $2 million for the ladder truck.
Yeah.
2.5 was the guess on the stuff. We're still working on that 2.5. What I'm trying to get at here is we took the 2.5 off already, and we're gonna have a problem. because I didn't think it fit into our capacity to afford it. When I saw 1.5, 1.6, so forth going out there, I got concerned that, that's an increase to the tax base. Tax, gonna have to pay it. We might have to start looking at fund balance and creative solutions. And I don't know how we'll hit them, but there is still that problem. So maybe you do want to buy that time. But what I do want to get to is that with those 3 projects right there, how do you want to take these forward? Because they're ready to go, knowing that when we do this, as your manager, not your bond advisor, or anybody else, I would recommend you're not going to see another window to seriously talk about future bond issuances. I mean,
What do you
again,
mean?
look at this, you're looking at to 2035, if not later. I mean, because you're not gonna see a significant drop on your current debt. And when I say significant, couple $100,000 would not occur until 2036.
Yeah.
So
So, I
that
mean-
means we're tied up for a decade. But again, this will put you the challenge back, and I know I'm about to give it to you guys, Leo. Is that
You could,
don't know how not to borrow this money because you have projects you've been queuing up. Over just being a town and existing, a library, ladder truck, maintenance of buildings you already own. So we do have a significant challenge here, and Joe's come up with a pretty good creative plan here. And again, then we can talk sewer tax, but sewer's a separate conversation in that it goes to the fees. And we're just trying to piggyback that borrowing at the same time as the town's borrowing. Because they
Yeah.
have really good, every 10 years, they borrow some money. They always, and then they won't borrow anymore for another decade.
So we're coming up on that decade.
So
We're in it right now. It's just hit it.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that framing, because I
Yeah.
do think that's the important conversation, and, I'm gonna say for me, that I feel like as a council, we've had pretty exhaustive conversations about the library and pretty exhaustive conversations about the public safety and town building, deferred maintenance. I truly don't feel as a council like I have yet been told enough about the ladder truck to be clear in my mind that it's a priority over the public safety building and the deferred maintenance. I know it's been on there a long time, and probably those conversations happened maybe a long time ago when none of us were even on council, because then some of us, I mean, the oldest of us have been here 4 years. Is that right, Leo? Is that you? So at any rate, I do feel like at a council level, there needs to be some more discussion for us about why the ladder truck is a higher priority than the public safety building, if it is. And I'm not sure if it is. I will say outright to me that if you were coming to me saying library and public safety building, I'd feel like, yeah, we're sold on those. We've been told why they're important. Ladder truck, I'm not there yet personally, and I doubt that the rest of council necessarily is either. That's all I got. Jacob, you're on.
Leo had.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess we've talked a lot about public safety building. We purchased a building across the street. We know we're putting some more money into that. I'm short timer, right? But I'm not there on, yeah, we want to borrow 2.5 million for all of that right now. We just allocated money, I think, to get, and tell me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong, to get the building across the street workable for police, I think. Maybe that's inaccurate.
Not move-in ready, very movable ready, but there's things they need to do. That's why we're going through the RFQ. You'll see at the next meeting what company we want to work with, and I'm working towards a better budget. That's kind of why I held off on this one, but if you're going different priority from that standpoint, I'd like to reassess a little bit with town, and I do have a question for Joe. If,
could I throw another monkey wrench in here that's a positive,
Yeah.
perhaps? Maine statute allows you to borrow up to 30 years as a city or town. They allow you to defer the first principal payment for up to 5 years. And what I did with Scarborough is we wanted to do a $40 million school project we financed, but they are 5 years from now, their mill rate is going to drop precipitously. So what we did was we tranched we gave like a year or two because the project wasn't placed in service. So that passes the straight face test. So the project's not placed in service and you want to do permanent financing. We were able to spoon feed, so we'd only have X amount of increase in the mill rate each year, with the idea that the last 15 years of a 20-year financing would be level principal each year, but it would take sort of sting. So you're sort of spoon feeding the ultimate buyer's shock. Like on this schedule I did here, you know, you do a bond issue in 2025 and your first real payments, 650,000.
Hmm.
You can make that down to 400,000 or 300,000 with that type of strategy. And we have to look at it. Now, I do not manipulate the market. I don't, I want my mother to be able to be proud of anything I say. But I do take full advantage of those opportunities available to us in the market.
Which gets back to the visual
Can I,
comment.
can I just, a couple comments, I didn't get all that through mine, but I guess I would say with regards to that, I'm not a fan of kicking that can and sort of, and I get it, it's all legal, you can all do it, we can do it. It's pushing it down the road. I'm not a fan of that strategy. I appreciate you sharing that it's an option. And this is just me personally. As far as the fire truck, we had talked about this, so I'm not, I was really hoping we're gonna coordinate a conversation with Orono, VZ, Old Town, and the University of Maine, and have a real working effort to see how we collaborate on a ladder truck. We've all got them. You know, the only buildings in town really are university, so that require them. I guess now the other the three-story places, but for the most part, I definitely, I guess to Sarah's point, I really feel like real dialogue has to happen before I would be looking at that, putting that in something right now. The library's coming. I would also, I guess, say I wished we had looked at something to this effect to know that we had $30 million out before we talked about borrowing more for the library like we're doing. My other one last question, Clint, I think you talked a little bit or you didn't talk about it, but you just mentioned it. How do we use our reserves and how can we use our reserves? I know we don't want to spend them down to nothing like we did with our capital, but there's some out there, I think. We just used some for that building across the street, I know. Do you just feel like that we're tapped there and we don't want to touch it?
Larry, one before Clint does, sorry.
Yep.
What are you earning in your investment account versus if you issued bonds at 3.75%, 4%? Inflation, PPI is going to be announced tomorrow, CPI on Thursday. And we'll probably see more inflationary pressure, but we're seeing like a 3.1% inflation rate now. So that were you to earn more in your investment account than use cash, you would probably be budget neutral by borrowing. Borrowing is it's not the bonds, it's the principal thing I hate. But the with the borrowing, it allows you to enjoy the project while you're paying for it, as opposed to somebody you save up for 10 years and you build it and you move out of town. You're not using something that you built. And on the other hand, if you paid for it cash this year, somebody who's in the town 3 years from now, they have the benefit of something they didn't pay for. So there's sort of about equity of it's a benefits received or a user fee. The final thing about fund balance is fund balance used to be called surplus, and that's a misnomer. The rating agencies feel you should have undesignated fund balance and assigned fund balance together should be about 20%. You should have, and here's the philosophy. You should have, if you run a business and you are the chair people of the board of the Town of Orono Incorporated, and as the directors, you have to have enough money so that if all your bills came in the first day and none of your revenue came in the last day, you'd have 30 days of cash on hand to be a going concern. And I think any business has to have that type of attitude. And the rating agencies look at that and they really want to have at least 2 months, which is 16% of your revenues held as fund balance, not reserve. So to the extent you tap it for pay as you go, there's an argument that that is not inappropriate. If you use it just for tax relief, then that's something you're really gonna get dinged for, because it looks like you're just really living beyond your means. You're paying your mortgage with your Visa card. So I would be very precious. Now, on the other hand, you have incredible fund balances on the RSU 26. I think your fund balance is like 30%.
So I just,
Yeah.
statement and a question.
I just want to clarify that because this is data I've been wanting to get for a long time. So, I just want to repeat, undesignated and assigned balance together should be 20% of what?
Your general your annual revenue.
Annual revenue. Thank you. And at a minimum, it should be 2 months of revenue, which you said is around 16%, but ideally it should be 20%, correct?
Well, ideally, yes. That's absolutely
Get the
correct
highest
statement.
ratings. In order to get the highest bond ratings,
Well, and therefore you save money and interest, but the fact is, you have a fiduciary responsibility to your stockholders, your taxpayers and residents, to provide the things that you need to do. For example, you're gonna have fire insurance on your town hall. Why? Because if it burns, and your fund balance should be a similar type of discipline, when you have it, when you don't need it, but then you have it when you do need it. And I'm just looking at, I happen to have Orono's right here. I mean, you got like 41% fund balance. Am I able to share screen, Clint?
Should be,
is that
Okay, share.
he's counting assigned and unassigned. So he's counting the reserves.
Okay, so while you're figuring out how to do that,
All
my
right,
statement is, it sounds like we are in conceptual agreement that we need to, that we should borrow around 4 to 5 million. Now, whether we use half
Who's in
of it,
agreement?
hold on, Leo, please.
You-
Whether we use half of it for a ladder truck, or the other half for public safety, that's up for debate. But generally speaking, we should borrow. And then my question is what I would appreciate as some level of guidance from Joe or Clint is, since it sounds like conceptually we have we have high fund balances, would there be any savings? Or I would like advice on whether we should borrow it all or we should draw down some of our funds.
And when we do that, can we, the only thing, we got that potential fund balance policy. If we don't have one, it's on our radar.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah, so that may come in from me when I just say, look, if we're gonna do this,
That's,
these are the principles I use. You don't have
Yeah.
to adopt the policy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, I followed a set of rules to do it. I think this, I like that, and I think this is, it's gonna slow us up a little bit, but again, we do have some time. I gotta start thinking about work plans and budgets and capital planning and how we're gonna do it, but I think this is coming together, and I think Joe and I need to get some more information and hypotheticals back to you. And some analysis for your request right there as well.
and I don't need an
And
in-depth
priorities.
analysis. I'm fine with just you advising.
Yep.
Yeah.
As to what you should do,
and
and
what
what we should do.
I agree entirely with what you said, Jacob. I think that's definitely what we need. I also think council needs to talk about ladder truck, as we've talked about, versus public safety and have that discussion. Because we need to decide which is the priority, or if they both are, then we ought to be talking about a bigger number, which I hope we're not, but
Yeah.
we need to have that discussion. And also, just walking back Clint's timeline, if you're talking about needing a council vote in December, there has to be a public hearing, so then the public hearing would be presumably in November. Public hearing needs 30 days notice, so that puts us to the end of October. So I do understand what you're talking about time pressure, if we're aiming for December, a lot of this.
And now we're probably aiming for January, February, we're gonna work this in,
And
which
I
is
think
okay.
that's important to do. So, but I also just want to say out loud, if finance committee needs to meet again and it has to be an extra called meeting, I am happy to show up for that. Because this is really important stuff. And we need to work hard to help make your timelines reasonable, Clint, so that you can get what.
And I
you
think
need
that's
done.
what you need to tell the council tonight.
Yeah.
We're working through bonding. It's a difficult, big number. And we're gonna work more on it. And we'll be back soon, but timing's becoming
And-
important. particularly because we do need to have by spring the money for the
Yeah.
library, because once that project starts, we spend our money first.
Right.
And then the feds give us their money when we start spending their money.
But we don't need to, as this finance committee, have made a bonding recommendation to the board before, I mean, to the council, before the council can start having these priority discussions at the same time.
Yep.
So I'd like to see those beginning on council as soon as we can get them on the agenda.
Yep.
That's all I wanted to bring
Hey,
forward.
I just want to, I'd like to sort of restate my position, I guess, because I don't know, it feels like Jake, you just said that we all agree this. Maybe it's majority agrees because you and Sarah do. I guess where I am at, I would say, we know we need 2.6 for the library. I don't know personally if there's an opportunity for getting some of that from our reserves or not. That's what I'd like to see the real picture there. As far as the public safety buildings, I also don't know if some of that can be, if we can do that fractionally along the way. Do we have to take a bond out to go do all of this? We don't even really know what that work is. So that, I feel like we're jumping the gun on that. I feel like there's a potential for doing pieces and parts as we go. And because now we've got the police, we're going to have the police out of that building. I don't think, I just think we're jumping into this and acting as if this is a hurry, hurry, hurry. I completely disagree with. So I want to say how I feel about it. I feel like that was just said that, oh, we all agree that we want 4.6, and I personally don't. So I want to put that out.
Yeah, I understand, Leo. I'm not in full agreement on that either at this point, but I understand that these projects are projects we have talked about a lot. Whereas the ladder truck, I just haven't even heard anything about.
Yeah, and they've
it's
completely
been-
changed.
Right. I think it's been clear. The ask is to give us some proposals about bonding it versus funding it in other ways. Joe had some reasons why bonding might be more beneficial. I also, though, I did hear our balances are high, and so I'm sure they're gonna come back to us with some assessment of different ways to do that.
Now, Clint,
what you bring up is really
Yeah.
important.
would it be possible for me to share the screen for a second?
Joe, I'd love to. We're gonna have to do it at the next meeting because I've got 5 minutes to make it to our council meeting.
Very good.
Great. I
In a
just-
nutshell, what I was going to show you, and we have it available
Well,
elsewhere.
can you
Is
do
we
it?
currently have $9.5 million of assigned and unassigned fund balance against $22.7 million of the revenues, 41.86%. It's to get back down to maybe 20%, that 22 million could go as low as maybe 17 million, which gives you $5 million. And the first thing you should do is establish a fund balance policy, and part of the policy would be that you have this target and make it, I don't know, 16 to 20%. But then as you spend it, the rating agencies criticize, no, we are realigning our fund balance to align with our stated policy, which gives us carte blanche to be able to use those funds without ramifications.
Cool.
Thank you, Joe. That's very
Yeah,
helpful.
Joe, we'll probably need a meeting here. I'll work with you tomorrow to send out some dates.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Okay. Are you good, Jacob, then to end the meeting?
Yes, yep, we are. End it.
Stop recording. Okay.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you, Joe.